Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Xend Finance DeFi Hackathon 2021. I'm very excited to introduce a panel today of media from around the blockchain crypto space. Today, we'll be joined by Greg Gotsis of BSC News and Solana News, as well as Daniel Abel of Nigerian Tribune and Altcoin Buzz. Both of them are very established and have been in the industry for a bit of time. And I'll give you a brief background of BSC News. BSC News, of course, Xend Finance was the first to build on Binance Smart Chain out of Africa, and BSC News is one of the first to also cover us. And since then, they've had a phenomenal trajectory in terms of growth. I believe when you covered us, maybe you had 30, 40,000 Twitter followers. Now you're at like 250,000, which was amazing to see. So seeing that kind of growth has been amazing. So I'm very excited to ask you how you got there, how everything is going, as well as Solana News. I knew that's a pretty recent venture as well. Daniel Abel, of course, with Nigerian Tribune. Daniel, feel free to turn on your camera if you'd like. Daniel Abel of Nigerian Tribune is a senior reporter there. Nigerian Tribune, of course, is the oldest news establishment in Nigeria. So that's very exciting to kind of get that perspective of traditional news. And then also he's a reporter for Altcoin Buzz. So he knows about the space in blockchain and cryptocurrency. So Daniel, thank you very much for joining us as well. If you are ready right now, Daniel, we can have you go first. And Daniel, essentially both the reporters will give us a sense of how they cover the African crypto scene, the challenges that they see, the future of Africa and blockchain and crypto, as well as tips for if you're an entrepreneur or developer on how to get press coverage with them, what interests them the most. And then after that, we'll have a chat, a discussion between the three of us. And then we'll go to the top 5 questions in the YouTube stream. Of course, if we ask your question, you will be given $20 as a prize. So make sure you ask some good questions, listen up, and we'll start with Daniel before we go to Greg. So Daniel, are you ready? Daniel may have some, okay. So he's there. Daniel, are you good to go?
Yeah, I'm good to go. Hi, everyone.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So my name is Daniel Abel. I'm a senior reporter with Nigerian Tribune and also a writer with Altcoin Buzz. So basically, the crypto space in Nigeria and Africa as a whole has recently received a boom because of more attention. More people are trying to are coming into the market space, and the media exactly is playing a very important role in this aspect. Africa now, many people are not seeing Africa as a place where you can invest, and we have many projects coming up in the DeFi space. That's from Africa descent, and a lot more coming up with more involvement in different areas. And we're seeing development coming out, digital platforms coming out from Africa, Xend Finance, which is one of them. So mostly, as this project is coming up, more coverage will be needed, and more participants, or to try to get the people to know more about them. So as the main thing about the media right now is getting the people to understand, because Africa is not, I won't put it at the top of the map as other continents, because then we have people here who are still questioning crypto in fact, instead of not the blockchain technology. They're still questioning it, if they can trust it, and if it is reliable. So basically, what we, the media here, is trying to do, we're trying to explain and make sure we provide more understanding to know why decentralized finance and the blockchain space and cryptocurrency is actually going to favor the general public than the fiat currency they're used to. So basically, we're trying to bring these new platforms closer to the people, so that they can realize that it will benefit them more than the standard or the regular ones, regular platform they are used to. So recently, especially even in the area of NFT, all DeFi platforms, Nigeria in particular, and the whole African space have been receiving a lot of new addition, which have definitely, which I would say is actually calling for attention in the space. Basically, what the media role in this growing frontier is what I would like to speak on today, and why it's something that is worth looking forward to, and how this platform coming up can actually tap into it and get their platform, or get their project to the people easily. So mainly the blockchain space right now, it's at a very important phase, and it is actually crucial to have the sorry, are you still with me?
Yep, we got you. You're good.
Okay, thank you. So I'll keep going. So the blockchain space right now, the crypto space is and we partnership with the media is actually what I believe can actually take it to the next stage. And this partnership will come in area of how to get the media platforms to carry them along. That's the main thing. You incorporate them into your project, and so that they'll be able to publicize, and they'll be able to carry. I'm really sorry, I'm having a little difficulty with my slides. So yes, okay. So I'll keep. So the main thing about development and the crypto space now is making sure your platform is actually very unique, and with that you'll be able to stand out, and you'll be able to catch attention of the media. I'm sorry, Kelvin, I would like if you could take over from here. I'm having difficulty with my presentation here, so I'll let you know when I can take over.
Okay, no problem. So, this is actually an issue that actually does arise a lot in, of course, Africa and Nigeria as well, because of, I know Wi-Fi connection is sometimes very difficult to come by. I mean, we have a lot of issues with obviously our team that's based in Africa. So Daniel will come back and join with us. I don't know if Greg, if you are ready to go, but it would be great to, you can have a few minutes to prepare yourself. But yeah, so once again, that's Daniel Abel from the Nigerian Tribune and Altcoin Buzz, just kind of giving us a perspective, his perspective from the African blockchain crypto scene, as well as what he looks for in coverage. But here we go. We have Greg Gotsis. He's ready to present his slides, and I'll let him take over from here.
Awesome. Yeah. And can you see my screen on there, Kevin?
Yes.
Awesome. I just want to first start off, and Daniel's presentation was super insightful. I actually learned kind of a lot about what was going on. Something that completely crossed my mind, and it is even like a huge focus for us, is just really making this content as consumable as possible, breaking it down and making it available for the beginner users. We're in crypto all day, all the time, so it's very easy to get lost in the jargon. And I just kind of want to reiterate on that point, that is the first step in getting users to your platform, is making these things simple and really being friendly for the beginner. And for those of you who don't know, Kevin gave a brief introduction on myself in the beginning, and I'm the co-founder and editor-in-chief of one of the fastest growing media networks in decentralized finance. We started up really just about a year ago, and we've seen explosive growth right alongside of Binance Smart Chain. And yeah, as Kevin mentioned, we have had numerous amounts of coverage on Xend Finance. I actually jumped on a live stream with Hugo, the CEO, and that was an amazing conversation as well. And without further ado, I kind of just put together some slides here touching on some basic growth or general crypto growth that's going on in Africa. And then more so up my alley is what's going on with decentralized finance, building on Binance Smart Chain, and specifically in Africa. So just to start things off, I really like what's going on with this hackathon. It's setting an amazing stage for the future of crypto and DeFi inside of Africa. And something even Daniel was mentioning was just the explosion of cryptocurrencies among Africans in the past year or so. I found this report by Coinmetrics that was published in September, and there was 1,200% year over year growth in Africa's crypto market, which is massive. And something Daniel did point out here is while crypto markets in Nigeria, Africa aren't necessarily the largest, they are extremely exciting. They have a ton of bang for their buck in the sense that the amount of actual people using these services surpasses a lot of other larger crypto markets. So while the volume may not be all there, you can definitely see tons of people and users adopting these platforms and using them in real world scenarios. A lot of what I'm seeing and what I've heard from journalists here working at BSC News, which kind of are to thank for us being on this event. They do an amazing job. Utulu and Ahamdi, do an amazing job of staying up to date, and they have done the majority of reporting on Xend Finance and actually brought it to my attention. So very thankful for them. But something they kind of pointed out to me is the fact of using these peer-to-peer systems kind of replaces and fixes a lot of struggles they're having with traditional banking that isn't quite available to everyone. Another huge thing that is going on as well is holding stable coins and crypto assets is an amazing way of having sort of an inflation hedge. You're holding assets that are necessarily a little bit more strong, something like the dollar, while it still has fluctuations, it doesn't experience nearly what something like the Naira or other emerging market currencies are experiencing. So that's another massive upside there. And I don't want to spend too long on this slide because this isn't particularly my expertise. This is more broad blockchain and what's going on in crypto. What is more sort of up my alley is decentralized finance, what's being built on the Binance Smart Chain, and in particular, more of these peer-to-smart contract platforms. So there is a ton going on, and I think Binance Smart Chain is specifically a great place to start here. The reason being is the massive ecosystem support that Binance is offering, not only for Africa, but for the ecosystem as a whole. Binance has already laid down an amazing foundation. They did a masterclass event where I think 1,000 people from Africa were able to get into an 8-week long course. And this was not just on crypto and trading. This went into developing and learning about DeFi and the Binance Smart Chain. And I think that was incredibly massive in building this framework and setting up Africa for success with digital assets, DeFi, and cryptocurrencies. Another thing that went on was the Decentralized Africa Hackathon. And this is just another one of those events looking to bootstrap growth and further the growth of DeFi in Africa. And then most notably, I think what's something very important to touch on is what Xend Finance is building in decentralized finance and the services they're offering. For those of you who aren't too familiar with what Xend Finance is building, they're pretty much looking to build a one-stop shop, a almost DeFi brokerage suite of products that will allow users to access a bunch of financial services that they may not necessarily have access for. So this isn't, or this is across a broad spectrum, right? Maybe someone just wants to hold something like a USDT stablecoin so they can save their funds. Xend Finance helps with this, allows users to earn an interest rate here. And I think that's incredibly important. Being able to store your assets, not worrying about the uphill battle of inflation, but actually earning against some of your assets. Also, these layers are just getting further. I know Xend Finance is looking to release some new features here regarding a brand new UI and pretty much just bring their platform together, offer things not only across one chain, but multiple chains. And it goes back to sort of what Daniel and I were touching on the sense of breaking these things down and making them intuitive and seamless to use for the user, in the sense that the user doesn't necessarily want to come and fight with all this code. They want to be able to use a platform that works and allows them to access these financial services that they don't necessarily have access to currently. The really nice part about all of this is it is built on the blockchain and it's decentralized, meaning that all of these transactions are public and available records. And it's just a lot more transparent of a system overall, and really provides a nice way for peer-to-peer transactions, saving, and then even accessing services like lending and borrowing. To pivot a little bit, another sort of bigger trend I see brewing up as well, just across Binance Smart Chain, and I think can become particularly more relevant in Africa, is the kind of proliferation or the beginning of GameFi. And what GameFi is really just combining a lot of these decentralized finance services, things like staking, lending and borrowing, providing your assets and earning interest into gaming. And this is really an amazing intersection of technology here, because a lot of gamers already know how to use this technology, maneuver around computers. And so adding crypto isn't too big of a second layer. And this is really where I think we see a lot of beginner users get onboarded into crypto. And with that, I mean, this isn't only going on just in Africa, but we're seeing this across a bunch of emerging markets where GameFi is popping up all over the place, because these rewards are just, they make sense for a lot of users to play these games currently. And in a lot of places, it provides competitive wages to full-time jobs if users actually know what they're doing. I myself have been diving into GameFi a bit as well, and it's pretty interesting. It's definitely got some improvements it needs, and it's a little bit rough around the edges, but overall it's definitely a growing sector of DeFi that is extremely user friendly. But I think for the purpose of providing services and looking to kind of aid the economy of Africa and Nigeria, these DeFi products are amazing for offering interest rates, allowing users to lend and borrow. But this is also not to say that, of course, this comes with risk as well. There is smart contract risk behind every single one of these platforms. And the trick here is you really, at the end of the day, you can't invest what you're not willing to lose, but there's certain levels of risk. There's a difference between holding a stable coin like USDC or USDT versus maybe holding Bitcoin or an altcoin. And so just understanding those layers of risk and picking what suits you. Maybe you don't even want to deposit your cryptocurrencies into a smart contract because that poses too much risk for your sort of situation. Or you can end up providing the liquidity or the crypto to the smart contract. And it all just depends on what your specific situation is, the risk appetite, but there's solutions for everyone inside of crypto. And it just makes these services a lot easier to access. So that's kind of the main points I wanted to hit on there. And now I'm going to jump over to a little bit more of what we're doing at BSC News, Solana News, and our umbrella company, DeFi Direct. So the idea here is that, just to take a step back, actually, Binance Smart Chain News, we've serviced over 1 million users in the past year. And so this is just ever growing. And this is just a testament to how much DeFi and crypto is growing. Our success is 100% attributed to growth of decentralized finance and the Binance Smart Chain. And so it's just incredible seeing the growth and how fast the space is moving. We've also seen a steady growth of our audience in Africa as well. So most notably, we have a fair share of Nigerian users who have been using the website. And that's just been amazing to see that crypto doesn't have borders and it's able to kind of help out whoever needs these services. And furthermore, what we are looking to do at DeFi Direct as a whole is focus on the multi-chain future. So the way decentralized finance works is there's a ton of different networks and there's not necessarily one right answer. It's really sort of all of these different networks are catering to certain users and use cases. So there's multiple, right? Just to name a few, we have Avalanche, which has just popped up and getting a ton of hype. Phantom, BSC News, Solana, Ethereum, of course, Terra, and the list kind of just goes on. So we think it's incredibly important on focusing on a multi-chain future and looking to capture all of that. And we've noticed that Xend Finance is doing the same. I think they recently deployed on Polygon for sure, and maybe even Hiko. So this is sort of a trend that's going on across the entire space. And so that's what we're doing at DeFi Direct and BSC News to steer this back towards any people who are building or in the crypto space, projects specifically. What we look for in media is, at the end of the day, media follows the users, right? So you have to get users is one big thing. And as Daniel was saying, is building unique products does this entirely. If you build unique products and you are constantly pushing out updates, the users will come and the media will come as well. And that's kind of the golden way to get this coverage. We, for example, with Xend Finance, we just noticed what they were building and how they were building it, seeing the constant updates. It wasn't just a one-off release they put out. It was constant. Every time, every week, every other week, we'd come back and it's like, oh, check out what Xend built. So this was like a prime example of how we picked up coverage on Xend Finance. And then another way is just making your project ready, available, the documents easy to access, having things like GitHub set up, white papers set up, where all of this information is readily accessible, and also making your team readily available. A lot of things we do is we need to get in contact with your team, maybe via Telegram, Twitter, and a lot of projects, they lag on these sort of things. They might not have someone checking these social media accounts. So it's a little bit difficult to get the coverage on projects when we don't have the proper contacts and the network standing. So just to summarize that up, the main thing is building a good product is going to be the number one way, but there's little things you can do in between, whether it's setting up proper documentation, being readily available, having all forms of communication open, whether it's an email, Telegram, Twitter. And yeah, at the end of the day, it just comes down to pushing out updates and building something unique. Other than that, this kind of wraps up my presentation. I do want to say Africa is seeing an explosion in cryptocurrency. And again, it may not be necessarily the volume, but the amount of adoption that we're seeing is more important. And just the fact that the users, and more particularly retail users, are finding solutions to these issues they're having with traditional finance is massive, especially considering the growth crypto has continued to see in the trajectory it's on. So with that being said, I just want to thank Kevin for having me on. Of course, we're going to open this up to a Q&A, and Daniel may even be back to finish up some of his presentation. Not quite sure though. So Kevin, you can take it back away from here.